boy who cried wolf. This is a story about a little boy called Sam, some sheep, the villagers, and maybe a wolf. Sam lived in a little village in the mountains. Every day he took the sheep from the village up the hill to a grassy meadow. He watched them every morning until evening. Then he took them home again. Every day was the same. Sam was lonely and he was so bored. All his friends were down in the village. He tried talking to the sheep. "How are you today?" But the sheep just replied, "Bah!" But they didn't have much to say. "Nobody ever comes up here," moaned Sam. "Nothing ever happens." One day he had an idea. "I could make something happen," he said with a grin on his face. He ran down to the village. "Help! Help! What's the matter?" "A wolf!" he shouted. "A wolf has come out of the forest. Come quickly!" Everyone ran up the hill with him. "Hurry, my sheep!" cried some of the villagers. Puffing and panting, they reached the meadow. Of course, there was no wolf. "All that for nothing?" The sheep were quietly eating their grass. The villagers were very angry, but Sam just laughed. "Ha ha, that was funny." "No, it wasn't," said the villagers. A few days later, Sam was bored again. He ran down to the village. "What's the matter?" "Help!" he shouted. "What's the matter now?" said the villagers. "A wolf!" he shouted. "A wolf has come out of the forest. Come quickly!" Some people didn't believe him. "We'd better just make sure," thought some of the villagers, but most ran up the hill to see. Puffing and panting, they reached the meadow, and of course, there was no wolf. The sheep were quietly eating their grass. Everyone was very angry, but Sam just laughed. "What are you grinning at?" said the angry villagers. A week passed by. Sam was bored again. He ran down to the hill, to the village. "Help! Help! There really is a wolf. Come quickly!" Most people didn't believe him this time. Just a few ran up the hill. Puffing and panting, they reached the meadow. Of course, there was no wolf. "You think you're clever?" the angry villagers shouted. The sheep were quietly eating their grass. Now everyone was furious, and Sam laughed and laughed. A few days later, a wolf did come out of the forest. Sam was terrified. He ran down to the village as fast as he could. "Help! Please help!" Nobody believed him. "Do you think we're stupid?" said the villagers. I promise you, there is a wolf." Sam begged them to come with him. "You have to help me." This time, they just laughed at him. In the end, Sam had to go back the hill all alone. The wolf had killed some of the sheep. The rest had run away. Sam stayed in the meadow until it was dark. finally, the villagers came to find him. "I told you!" "Oh no!" cried the villagers. "Our sheep!" "Why didn't you believe me?" he asked. "You always told lies before," they said. "I'm really sorry. I've learnt my lesson. Never again," said Sam. The end.